What would happen if human cloning were possible? Human cloning has been a topic of debate for decades, raising ethical, moral, and scientific questions about the consequences of such a technology. If we were able to clone humans, it would undoubtedly have a profound impact on society as we know it. Firstly, the potential medical benefits of human cloning could be significant. Scientists could clone organs and tissues for transplantation, reducing the waiting time for patients in need of life-saving surgeries. According to the Organ Procurement and Transplantation Network, there are currently over 107,000 people waiting for an organ transplant in the United States alone. Human cloning could help alleviate this shortage and save countless lives. However, the ethical implications of cloning humans are complex and controversial. Questions about individuality, identity, and the sanctity of life would be brought to the forefront. Additionally, the potential for abuse and exploitation cannot be overlooked. For example, cloning for the purpose of creating designer babies with specific traits or abilities could lead to discrimination and societal divisions. Furthermore, the long-term consequences of human cloning on the gene pool and genetic diversity are uncertain. According to the World Health Organization, genetic diversity is crucial for the survival of species and the adaptation to environmental changes. Cloning could potentially reduce genetic variation and make populations more susceptible to diseases and other threats. In addition, the psychological impact of being a clone or knowing that one is cloned could be profound. Studies have shown that individuals who are genetically identical have different personalities and experiences, leading to questions about nature versus nurture and the uniqueness of each person. Overall, if human cloning were possible, it would have far-reaching implications for science, medicine, ethics, and society as a whole. While the potential benefits are enticing, the dangers and uncertainties cannot be ignored. It is essential for society to have a thorough and inclusive debate on the subject before any advancements in human cloning are made. Possible consequences of human cloning. Human cloning is a topic that has repeatedly excited the minds of scientists, science fiction writers, and the public at large. Let's imagine that it has become possible to create exact copies of human beings in the world. What would be the potential consequences of this great scientific achievement? 1. Ethical dilemmas. The most pressing issue would be the ethical aspects of human cloning. Cloning can lead to violations of fundamental human rights and freedoms, as well as raise questions about the importance of the original compared to its copy. 2. Security issues. Creating clones would raise serious security issues. Is it possible to guarantee that cloned people will not be used for military purposes or for other malicious activities? 3. Impact on society. If cloning people becomes a common practice, it could lead to major changes in society. How equal will the original and its copy be? How will this affect social inequalities and the value system? 4. Problems of self-identification. Another important aspect will be the problem of self-identification. Clones may face difficulties in defining their identity and place in society, which may affect their psychological well-being. 5. Health and safety issues. From a medical point of view, cloning people can raise health and safety issues. Is there a risk of genetic defects in clones? What will be the consequences for the health of copies? Conclusion. Although the possibility of cloning humans is an exciting scientific scenario, there are a number of important issues and dilemmas that require serious discussion and careful thought. Understanding the potential consequences and developing appropriate ethical and legal regulation will be necessary to ensure the safe and ethical use of this technology in the future. Human cloning in the form of identical twins is the closest comparison that we have to this scientific concept at this time. Artificial cloning processes have yet to be developed, and they may never be brought to light because of the numerous ethical and moral concerns involved with the technology that would allow a genetically identical copy of an existing or previously existing individual to be grown. Even when there are naturally duplicated clones that share a nearly identical genetic profile, they are not exact duplicates. Each person has different experiences, thoughts, and perspectives that combine to create a unique individual. Even people who share a similar environment with similar DNA can turn out to be very different individuals. When looking at the major human cloning pros and cons, it is essential that we balance the need to evolve the scientific processes involved in this artificial task while addressing the ethical and moral concerns which currently exist when manually creating or changing a genome. These are the crucial points to review. List of the pros of human cloning. 1. Human cloning could resolve fertility issues. Couples who are unable to naturally conceive will be able to create children to whom they are a genetic relative thanks to human cloning. Infertility could become an issue of the past because doctors could take the genetic profile of each parent, infuse it into an embryo outside of the body, and potentially grow the fetus in a laboratory environment. This process could help countries such as Japan who are struggling with low birth rates right now. The BBC reported in late 2018 that there was a remarkable decline in fertility rates in the developed world. In 1950, women were having an average of 4.7 children during their lifetime. In 2018, the fertility rate was just 2.4 children per woman. In the UK, that rate is just 1.7 children. When a country drops below 2.1 children per family, the population will eventually shrink. 2. Human cloning could lead to medical advancements. The processes of human cloning could help to create new advances in medical science. By creating a duplicated individual, it would become possible to share genetic material which could help to prevent or cure diseases that may have a negative impact on that person's life. It could create a new line of research that is equivalent to what we see today with embryonic stem cell therapy potential. 3. Human cloning unlocks the benefits of genetic modification. Human cloning requires a precise form of genetic engineering. Using our current technologies, we would implement enzymes from bacteria to locate genes within our DNA to create the necessary modifications for duplication. This technology has been in use since 2015, so it is not something from which we are completely unfamiliar. We know of 5 potential benefits to genetic modification within the human genome that are worth exploring. It could help us to begin curing genetic diseases such as cystic fibrosis or thalassemia. Genetic modification could also help us deal with complex diseases such as schizophrenia or heart disease. Human cloning could help us discover new ways to combat the natural aging process, including potential opportunities to stop it. Babies would no longer need to go through a genetic lottery before birth to know what their human potentiality would be during their lifetime. It could begin to reduce the overall cost of disease treatments around the world. 4. Human cloning could help us to recover faster from devastating injuries. Interventional orthopedics is a non-surgical option which uses a patient's own cells to help repair the damage that occurs during a traumatic injury. Sprains or strains to a ligament will typically heal in 4 to 6 weeks with rest, but when a tear occurs, the primary treatment option, especially with an ACL, is to apply a tissue graft at a steeper angle to encourage the healing process. The current procedure increases a patient's risk for osteoarthritis and cartilage damage later in life. Through the processes of human cloning, the cells can begin to rebuild on their own. It creates an opportunity for a faster recovery because doctors are duplicating the exact cells that the body requires. 5. Human cloning reduces issues of socioeconomic equality. According to the Science X Network, up to 10% of children in the developed world are currently taking medications such as Ritalin to help with their poor self-control issues. This medication makes it possible for today's kids to improve their educational prospects because they have more control over their behaviors. Education, special services, diet, and other social interventions are also used to correct the natural inequality that occurs through the natural reproduction process. Moving toward human cloning would allow the next generation of children to require fewer interventions throughout their life because they would be genetically equipped to handle the challenges which might come their way. 6. Human cloning could eliminate defective genes and chromosomes. The statistics on genetic diseases are particularly grim in today's world. About 1% of the population in the United States will develop a specific disorder with a genetic foundation at some point during their life. Approximately 1 in 100,000 people in the U.S. have Syndrome A at the present time, with 100,000 children worldwide dealing with Syndrome B. The current leading cause of newborn death is due to birth defects. All of these issues could be reduced or eliminated if we were to embrace the benefits that human cloning provides. 7. Human cloning would allow great minds to continue benefiting humankind. Imagine what Albert Einstein would have been able to accomplish if he had 100 years to work instead of a few decades during a single lifetime. Where would we be today if Leonardo da Vinci had access to modern technology with his impressive imagination? Because of human cloning, we would be able to set the stage for humankind's greatest minds to continue doing their work, albeit as new individuals, which would help our society advance at an even more rapid pace. Significant contributions to science, music, literature, and the arts are possible because of the technologies involved in human cloning. 8. Human cloning would help us to create more stem cells. Stem cells are what help to build, maintain, and repair the body throughout our lives. There are processes that these cells perform naturally, allowing them to be manipulated by doctors to repair diseased or damaged organs and tissues. When they are transferred from one person to another, then the recipient sees these cells as being foreign bodies, triggering an immune response. Cloning is a way to create genetically identical cells that could help to create better health outcomes for people, especially if they suffer from a rare genetic disease. 9. Human cloning could eliminate viral epidemics. The primary goal of treating a virus such as HIV/AIDS is to suppress the mechanisms involved that harm human health. Human cloning could help to replicate a natural resistance to these diseases, disorders, and conditions when discovered in the general population. For as long as disease has existed on our planet, there have been a select few people who have a natural resistance to specific illnesses. A mutation of the CCR5 gene, for example, creates a natural resistance to HIV. Some people naturally resist the influenza virus better than others. Researchers even found that a group of women in West Africa remained perfectly healthy despite repetitive exposure to the Ebola virus. Human cloning would allow us to take advantage of these natural immunities to create new vaccines, medical treatments, or even children in future generations who would not be forced to struggle with such devastating illnesses.